Hey everybody, Matthew Armstrong here on day 72, this 100-day financial freedom challenge. And there's three motivating factors that we have that will motivate us to do practically anything. One of them is pain, the motivation to get away from pain. And one of them is pleasure, the motivation to go towards pleasure. And there's a third one as well, but I'll get to that in a minute. But quite often, pain is the bigger motivator. For example, we'll use the story of the guy who's wandering through the forest, the guy, the vagabond, whatever, and he gets to a river, and across the river there's like a Garden of Eden. There's all these beautiful women over there, and they're just having a great time, and it just looks absolutely amazing. And there's all this fruit growing, and just a beautiful place with these Amazonian amazing women. Anyway, so the guy is standing and looking at the river, and he's thinking, I really want to get across that river to go and hang out with those women, right? He's been off by himself meditating in the woods like a monk for the past 10 years, and he's just like, okay, I just want to, enjoy myself now. And so he's looking at the river, he's thinking, if I go in that river, there's a chance that it might sweep me away, I might drown. Like he hadn't been swimming in 10 years, and you can see the rapids moving down, and he's thinking, there's rocks, I could bang my head, I could die. So he's thinking about all these things, but he's still looking across, and he goes, I really want to get across there, So he's thinking about ways of doing it, of getting across without having to, give his life for it, And it comes to a point where it's just like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it, And so then he looks behind him, and he hears this roar and a rustle, and he sees a tiger coming up at him, going roar, and the tiger's like gaining on him, and he's like, the tiger's about to pounce. And he turns around, and without a hesitation, he just runs and dives straight into that river and swims as hard as he can, climbs out the other side, and goes and hangs out with the women. And so the pain was more powerful motivator than the pleasure, because it was the potential that he was going to die there. Was obviously a bigger motivating factor than the pleasure of just going and hanging out with the women, right? So pain is often a bigger motivator in our lives, and quite often people don't take the action that they really need to take and make the decision that you really need to take right now until their back is against the wall, until there's nowhere else to run, there's nowhere else to hide, there's nothing else to do but just make a decision and take the action you need to take. Sometimes it gets to that. Sometimes it gets to that point. But that's actually can be quite short-lived. Because once we get to a safe place again, then the motivation goes away. So what gives long-term motivation? What gives long-term motivation is inspiration. That's the third thing. That's the third thing that motivates us, is inspiration, to be inspired, to inhale and be inspired by inhaling divinity, right? That inspiration, that is long term, by having a fulfilling vision and mission, if you will, for your life. If you have something like that, you can be inspired by it. Something that gives you deep meaning and fulfillment, whatever that may be. And that can provide the inspiration rather than the short-term gratification of hanging out with the women for a while, or the short-term get away from that possible death from the tiger. What's going to give the long-term inspiration? What's going to give you that? Because that's the third motivating factor, and that's the one that at times, every day, we're going to be motivated by pain and pleasure. But the long-term motivation that we need, it's going to come from within, not from without. It's the difference between motivation and inspiration. There's a difference, and the third motivating factor is inspiration, which rises you above the pain and the pleasure, and sees both pain and pleasure as necessary in your life. They're both necessary. And when you get to that path, when you get to that plane of inspiration, then you won't get swayed by the short-term pain or short-term gratification of the pleasure. You won't be swayed by that, because you see them all, and you won't be upset or elated by when they happen so much, because you see them as just part of the process. pain and pleasure happen. We're on this third dimensional plane, right? And that is part of it. Part of it is every day we will experience some form of pain, we'll experience some form of pleasure. And wisdom is to be able to look back on all that has happened to us in our lives and see that it was all perfect. Everything happened perfectly, completely, what's the word? Completely constructed perfectly, let's just say. The intricate order is what the word I'm looking for. There's an intricate order. And everything is happening perfectly. So even if you had what you would call a crappy day today, that was perfect. And one day, at some stage in your life, maybe it might be when you're crossing over into death, when you just really attain total awareness and wisdom, you'll actually see the perfect order of your life. But when would it now be a good time to see the perfect order in your life that's been happening? And everything seeking equilibrium, moving you forward, and there wasn't one mistake. There wasn't one thing that you actually failed on, because it was all learning. And all through this time you've been learning, you've been growing, you've been getting to the point which is going to allow you to take the next best step now that you know you need to take. So look for that inspiration. It's the inspiration that you're looking for. The pain, the pleasure, that's part of it. And part of wisdom is being able to see them both equally and see the need for them both, because what is really painful is when we try and be in pleasure all the time and try and shut out the pain or try and deny the pain, or that it's not there or something. That is suffering. We can experience pain without suffering when we see how necessary it is in our lives to have that pain, to have that struggle at times in our lives. That is all part of it. That is all part of our growth experience, right? When you go to the gym and you pump weights, the next day you're in pain. But if you're smart, you know this is good because my muscles have broken down and then they're regrowing again and they're growing back stronger and thicker, being able to stand more the next time. And so when you feel like you're breaking down in your life, know that that is setting you up for a breakthrough. All breakthroughs are preceded by a breakdown. So just know that. If you feel like you're breaking down, you're actually breaking through, and that's just part of the process of breaking through, is to first of all break down, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, or whatever. And when you realize that, then you start to become the magician in your life. Makes sense? I certainly hope so. And I'd love to have you join our team and create financial freedom in your life by clicking on the link below and making that happen. When would it be a great decision to make that decision right now? Make it happen. Take the action. Time is precious, my friend. Every single day, time is so precious. And every single day that you're not doing it is another day where you're not living an inspired life. I'll let you in a little secret. It's actually 3:30 in the morning right now. Why am I making this video? Because I just feel inspired to make it. I don't have to make it. I just feel inspired to do it. Sleep, I'll catch up on that tomorrow sometime. The weekend, it doesn't matter. Right? I don't worry about things like that. I just work on my intuition, work on my inspiration, and I love living like that. And if you're not doing that, I'd love to be able to transmit some of that to you, to channel it through to you and for you to do that as well. See you in the next video.